What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the opinionated hippie, and welcome to the first episode first entry in my deep dive discovery series. About a month ago, I posted a video asking for suggestions of bands to deep dive into. Bands I had never heard before, even though I've never actually given everybody a list of all the bands I've heard. The idea was to get suggestions from things people are interested in. Hopefully, some of those I had never heard an album of. And I would say thank you. The response was fantastic. While I would say most of the suggestions are bands I have at least heard one album from, maybe an album, and then I dismissed because I wasn't interested in that album. 90% of those suggestions are bands I'm really familiar with. I listen to way too much music. And if you did make a suggestion of a band I was familiar with, I moved that up on the list. So it means it was on my master list of things I have found to be under Frank's umbrella. If you made a suggestion, it immediately jumped to the shorter of the lists. But there were a handful of bands whose music, to the best of my knowledge, I have never heard in my life, and a couple bands or artists I had never heard of ever. And we are now going to do the first one, and that is the Sensational Harvey band. I went into this as blind as possible. So I looked up, I had heard of the band's name, but I knew nothing about the band or what kind of music they made or anything at all. I'm pretty sure, I think I thought they were like a late 70s, early 80s bands. I think they turned out to be 70s. I did look up their discography. I found 8 albums. I do know that Alex Harvey is the lead singer only because there is an album that he's not on, and they reference that he's not on it. And as soon as somebody starts singing, it is clear who is not there, and it is the lead singer. And so I'm assuming Alex Harvey is the lead singer. I don't know who else is in the band. I know nothing else about the band. Though I was able to track down 4 of the albums through friends. The other 4 I had to go to YouTube Music to listen to. Once I did that, videos started popping up on my feed of the Alex Harvey band. So I've seen a picture of him. I'm pretty sure Alex Harvey passed away. Little things I've learned just by glimpses of YouTube titles. So that's all I know. So I've listened to each of the 8 albums a number of times. Sat down and listened to them, gave them my intent, listened to them while out doing physical activities, listened to them while I'm driving. So I've heard them in a whole bunch of contexts. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to rank them. This is a band I might return to in like a year, only because I really enjoyed this band. I absolutely loved it. How I have not come across them or why I have not sought them out, I do not know. I was familiar with the name. You do not forget a name like that. I did not know they were kind of in the glam rock field, which would have immediately had me chasing them because I love glam rock. The lead singer, Alex Harvey, sounds just like Bon Scott with a little bit of Ian Hunter from Mott the Hoople energy thrown in there. The music is sort of Alice Cooper with some elements of Queen, with some really nice Led Zeppelin riffs thrown in there, like, is this the Wanton song? No, this is the Sensational Alex Harvey band. With little elements of like folk every once in a while, like their version of like Jethro Tull's folk, but not a lot of that, but every once in a while they touch in that area. But yeah, a really fun band. Highly sexualized at times, really good energy, just amazing. Out of the 8 albums, really, I only think one of them, the one without Alex Harvey, which is going to be first on this list, is anyone that I'm probably not going to go back to. The other 7 I really liked. So for all of you people out there who recommended the Sensational Alex Harvey band, thank you very much. But I'm going to go through their albums. And if you have not heard them, stick around, listen to why. I'm going to try to convince you to go check them out because they are a really good band. But anyways, 8 albums. Let's get on to number 8. Oh, and is there a Frank Zappa connection? So because I was doing this, I was going to have to rely on the music for the Frank Zappa connection. I listened to the albums in chronological order. The very first song on the very first album is Framed, a cover of the old, I think it's a Stoller Lieber song, right? Little Feat did that on their Hoy Hoy release, and Lowell George from Little Feat played with Zappa in '69. So the very first song provided me the Zappa connection. There might be more, but that one I know for sure exists. But anyways, yeah, on to number 8. Number 8 is their 7th album, Fourplay. I did look up when they come out. This one came out in 77. This is the one without Alex Harvey on vocals. And the vocals, whoever else is singing other than Alex Harvey, it just kind of sounds like generic 80s Bad Company or Foreigner or one of those like typical hard rock bands. The music kind of just leaned into somewhat typical hard rock, though I have to say the band, whoever is in this band, are pretty good musicians. Like, they're not like blowing my mind, but they're like 100% competent. The rhythm section is tight. The guitar player is interesting. He's not like Zappa level or, even like Hendrix or on the fringes or like a Jimmy Page or anything like that. But really, really, really solid band. So the music isn't necessarily bad as much, like the musicianship is not necessarily bad on this album, other than you lose the incredible charisma that Alex Harvey brings to every song he sings on the other 7 albums. Like, his mere presence alone, like, transforms or transcends or elevates some of these songs to just next levels. His vocals are amazing. That's lacking on this album. And for the most part, I think some of the music was just kind of generic hard rock. One song, I did take notes for this because I don't know these songs. Love You was just like an ouch, ouch type ballad, slower type number, if I remember correctly. There were 2 songs on this album I kind of liked. The opening track, Smoldering, had kind of some moments, maybe some somewhat smoldering moments. And then there was a song called Outer Boogie, which had a nice kind of spacey groove in it, some little keyboard weirdness sprinkled throughout. And it wasn't that bad. Everything else was just kind of forgettable. I didn't think it was all that interesting. I will probably never go back and listen to this again. I probably will at some point as I get into the other albums and are looking just for more sensational Alex Harvey band, or SAHB, as they're known, SAHB. They even have an album that's titled SAHB Tales. So, yeah, but this is by far my least favorite. Like, I think everything else is so much better than this simply because of the mere presence of Alex Harvey. So anyways, that's number 8, Fourplay. On to number 7. Number 7 is their 8th album, their final album, Rock Drill. Alex Harvey is back on this one. This came out in 1978. And it definitely, there are definitely a little more proggier elements on this. And even the sequencing of the songs, like the first 4 songs are named like parentheses, lowercase Roman numeral 1, lowercase numeral 2, 3, 4, like that. So there's that weird prog indexing of tracks, even though they're all very much different tracks, but maybe it's all one longer conceptual piece. I don't know. Only heard it a couple times. But I kind of like this album. Like, I don't think it was in any way bad, and I enjoyed it much, much more than I enjoyed Fourplay. The opening song, kind of a slower, more dramatic, a proggier, kind of a heavier thing that kind of went into this, open with this heaviness, then kind of went into this nice, kind of slower, more low-key groove that was pretty cool. Kind of got funky at times. The outro in this song has sort of like a Jeff Beck instrumental guitar jamming type vibe that kind of reminded me of some like Jeff Beck era stuff, like 70s and 80s Jeff Beck stuff. The second song, Dolphins, which I think is a horrible title for a song ever, but had a nice groove, some really nice proggy sections in the middle, some really good guitar playing throughout of it. Felt a little more just like serious. A lot of their early stuff is very sexual and very heavy on not even sexual innuendo, just straight up sexual energy. This album does feel like it's maybe a little more, taking these a little more serious or trying to make more of a bolder statement, though I can't say I focus too much on the lyrics on this one. The song King Kong, oh, there's the other connection. Zappa and them have a song called King Kong. Had some really instrumental, had some like strings and some weird horn section and some really interesting instruments coming in and kind of mixing up sort of the sonic template. And then the ending kind of eases out. The song Booids, which apparently is a traditional song, Booids. This reminded me of Fleetwood Mac's The Tusk, that doom, 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 that song off Tusk album, meets the Pogues. That's what I wrote down. Tusk meets the Pogues, which is a great combination of artists, song and artist. Let's see what else. Nightmare City had sort of a very almost contemporary, a little more modern, late 70s, early 80s new wave vibe. And then there's a song called Mrs. Blackhouse, which feels like reminded me of Deep Purple's Mary Long. Sort of, I'm apparently Mrs. Blackhouse might be a real person, I'm assuming, like someone who's like sort of judging society and imposing her sense of morality on it. That's the kind of vibe I got from this song. And I liked it. It was good. Had like a sing-along acoustic type vibe, that like kind of like a Pogue sing-along type vibe. But yeah, I enjoyed this album a lot. Like, yeah, nothing wrong with it at all. A big step up from Fourplay. And a really, really good canon. But yeah, number 7, Rock Drill. Number 6 is the Penthouse Tapes. This came out in 1976, their 5th album. Even before I got to this album, I heard definite sort of elements of Alice Cooper in some of their songs, some of their heavier stuff. And there is a cover of School's Out on here, which I'm not sure anybody needs. There's also a cover of Runaway, which I really, really like. I think that's a good cover. I like that song. Not one of those songs I've ever gotten sick of, so I'm okay with that. There's also a cover of Leadbelly's Good Night Irene, which works pretty well. There's a cover of Jimmy Rogers' Gambling Barroom Blues. There's a whole bunch of covers on especially the latter half of this album. A live version of Irving Berlin's Cheek to Cheek. It just seems like one of their most just they're going into the studio and having a good time, and they got some songs laying around and they're going to whip them out, and the energy is good because Alex Harvey can bring charisma and good energy to any song. So it all kind of works, even though it does almost feel like they're just a band out there really having fun and making fun music. They're not trying to we're with Rock Drill, the album that was their last one. Felt like there were times they were trying to make a little more of a statement or be a little more serious. This one, let's just play a bunch of songs we like and we really know. There was one song that I really like. Oh, the Gambling Barroom Blues has a really nice sort of country energy to it. They lean into that country vibe really well. And then the closing Cheek to Cheek has sort of a Ween meets Monty Python Lounge Act vibe, like when they get to heaven in the meaning of life, that sort of you welcome to heaven, that kind of cheesy type thing. But for the most part, there's a cover of Jethro Tull's Love Story on here. Yeah, which is a pretty random kind of cool cover. But yeah, a fun album with some very interesting covers, and I think a nice flex that they could do a bunch of different styles. My number 6, the Penthouse Tapes. Number 5 is Tomorrow Belongs to Me, their 4th album. Really, again, this is another one that also kind of reminds me of the Penthouse Tapes. Just a lot of really good, a lot more originals, but just some really good sort of Alice Cooper meets Mott the Hoople with some Led Zeppelin riffs thrown in there every once in a while. Just like a good, solid, rock album. Made absolutely amazing by Harvey's vocals. A little jazz fusion energy maybe thrown in early on, the opening Action Strauss. Snakebite has a cool little chorus. Ribs and Balls. Don't know what Ribs and Balls is about, but that's a great song. Shark's Teeth, that's a really good song. The Tale of the Giant Stone Eater, one of the longer songs on here, has a section towards the middle that reminds me of The Doors' Running Blue, where things just can kind of almost campy in the middle for a while. But yeah, again, just a really fun a band you want to go see in a sweaty club where you're drinking lots of good beer and having a great time, and it's just kind of a really good party album with some really good energy. Yeah, the original material elevates it above the Penthouse Tapes, because I think the Penthouse Tapes, you don't need all those covers. This band can write some pretty competent songs, and the energy on this is really good. But yeah, I like this album. My number 5, Tomorrow Belongs to Me. Is that what I said before? Number 5, Tomorrow Belongs to Me. Number 4 is their third album, The Impossible Dream. This came out in 1974. Again, feeling maybe a little bit proggier in the beginning. You got a song that is like 2 parts, Hot City Symphony Part 1, Vambo, who is a character from a previous album, and Hot City Symphony Part 2, the man in the jar, which has some weird, almost Zappa-esque lyrics talking about a man in the jar. Who is the man in the jar? The second part of that, some really nice sort of wah-wah energy. At times, that riff reminds me of Women from Tokyo, of Deep Purple. Really nice proggy build in that song. You got even some nice grooves. Kind of reminds me of War, circa like Eric Burdon era. Some nice horns, little elements of theatricality, kind of a Queen energy working its way in there on this album. Just a little more ambitious than the stuff that is, I guess, come after it, since this is their third album. At least come after it on this list. What else? Long Hair, the song Long Hair Music, has some really nice funky keyboard work in there. They do have the guitar and the rhythm section are fantastic, but every once in a while, some really nice sort of organ work kind of seeps its way in that adds a whole nother level of just sort of musical texture that is fantastic. Sergeant Fury has sort of an old-time jazzy rocker feel. Tomahawk Kid is a really nice slow groove to it, or just a really nice groove to it. Yeah, another just solid album of just like really, really good, slightly eclectic 70s rock with that opening sort of 13 minutes of the Hot City Symphony kind of open things up with sort of grand ambitions. And while it kind of settles in to more like standard fare after that, it's still eclectic enough to keep it interesting. And anytime Alex Harvey is singing, it is good. He sounds like Bon Scott. It is fantastic, but he's got a little bit, instead of Bon Scott sort of aggression, he's got like Ian Hunter's sort of like just that sort of sarcastic kind of edge that Ian Hunter has, that sort of like sense of humor. And that blend is so good, and he can elevate many a song to higher levels. But yeah, that would be my number 4, Impossible Dream. Number 3 is their second album, Next. This is when they get straight up sexual. The opening song is Swamp Snake, which is just all about someone's sexual prowess. The second song is called Gang Bang, and I think it's about having fun at a gangbang or having a gangbang party or something like that. It's straight up about a gangbang. Like no punches held, no holding, no punches. Fun little song. Nothing you're ever gonna hear on the radio. The Faith Healer has popped up on a lot of my YouTube's feed. Apparently, a lot of people react to the Faith Healer. But that is some nice slow burning energy. Maybe not as indicative of some of their more like over the top fun Led Zeppelin-y type stuff, but a good song. Giddy Up a Ding Dong. I think the title pretty much says it all. Next, what did I write for next? Has a dramatic sort of over the top, like Rocky horror type vibe to it. That kind of like, showstopper type thing, like Meatloaf should be singing this song. Vambo Marble Eye, and Vambo would return on the Hot City Symphony. I'm assuming it's the same Vambo. What did I write about that? It has a funky wah pseudo Zepp vibe. A funky wah pseudo Zeppelin vibe. So yeah, really good energy there. And then the closing, the last of the Teenage Idols, is so one of these, and I think this is what I'm talking about, but that's the one that is like a piano ballad, starts off, but then goes into this sort of epic extravaganza with a really great rocking jam towards the end, the closer being like over 7 minutes long. But yeah, this one has a lot more going on from song to song to song, really indulges in the like sexual energy early. 3 of the songs are at least straight up sex. The title, it's in the title. But yeah, really good. Great follow-up to that debut. Maybe not taking a step forward, but not taking a step back, which is why maybe I put it at number 3. But really, really enjoy this album. And yeah, just had a good time listening to this, man. Yeah. My number 3 next. Number 2 is their sixth album, 1976 SAHB Stories, SAHB Stories. Fantastic album from start to finish. Not a bad moment on it. This is a spectacular album. The opening Dance to Your Daddy, I swear that's the Wanton song. Like the first dun 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 dun, dun sounds like the Wanton song off of Physical Graffiti. Wanton song off Physical Graffiti, that Led Zeppelin riff. Straight up feels like Led Zeppelin until they kind of mix things up a little bit. Amos Moses is a Jerry Reed cover. The Snowman, people. The Snowman. And about sort of a Cajun type, kind of almost like a much dirtier, grittier, funner, like one of those Doobie Brothers, like Deep South tracks. I think there's some alligators or crocodiles involved in this. Really, really fun song. Jungle Rub Out. It's just a really good, I don't think I wrote anything about Jungle Rub Out. Just a really good little jam. Sirocco, Sirocco, excellent, amazing, slow burner, lots of space, takes its time, just nice, almost 7 minutes long. Absolutely, this is a band that's like matured, where they can just do like this 7 minutes of just like space with some little pockets of intensity. Just, absolutely fantastic song. Boston Tea Party has this ridiculous going to the Boston Tea Party, this weird little kind of sing along. It's got this sort of like marching groove, where we're like marching down to the harbor to throw some tea in, and as we're going, we're chanting going to the Boston Tea Party. Just a really good song. Would love to have seen this band live and seen them play that song so everybody could sing along. Sultan's Choice is a nice little part in it that reminds me of, and a lot of songs remind me of this, so this might be my problem. Rod Stewart's Young Turks. There's that little keyboard riff that dominates that song. You get a little bit of that flavor here. $25 for a Massage. It has a fun vibe, very similar to the opening Dance to Your Daddy. And then the Dogs of War, which closes out, has swagger, has a nice riff to it. You get a little Queen progginess in it. And the vocals are fantastic. Harvey leaves it all on the floor, leaves it all in the studio after this song. Fantastic performance. Fantastic album. Absolutely awesome. From start to finish, my number 2, Sobtails. And my number 1 favorite, this sensational Alex Harvey band, is their debut album, Framed, which came out in 1972. It opens with the song Framed, that Lieber Stoller track. I've been framed! Little Feat cover this, and immediately, by the time this song was done, I knew I was going to like this band. The energy they bring to this song, the way they interpret it, Alex Harvey's vocals, again, Bon Scott, people, Bon Scott, absolutely fantastic. I was hooked at the end of the first song, probably why this album ranks as my number 1. The next song, the Hammer song, has a little bit of that Jethro Tull, almost folk vibe in it at times, but the vocal delivery, man, hitting it out of the ballpark. Again, songs about hammers, people. It's the Hammer song. Midnight Moses is solid. Isabel Goody, which is one of those that has like 3 different parts. It's like a 7.5 minute song. Again, really nice slow burn and energy. Gets kind of proggy towards at different parts throughout it. Just a really good, again, this band can take its time and develop songs and still lean into their strengths. Flirt with prog, stay in that glam rock Alice Cooper area, but just absolutely amazing. Buff's Bar Blues sounds like something you'd hear in a bar. Nice piano driven kind of bluesy rock. I Just Want to Make Love to You, the Willie Dixon cover. Again, 2 covers on this one, maybe 3. I don't know who Jim Condren is. He wrote one of these songs. 3 covers on here. Yeah, I Just Want to Make Love to You works. This band makes it their own. Fantastic. Absolutely love it. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Big Louie. There's a song called There's No Lights on the Christmas Tree, Mother. They're burning Big Louie tonight. Sounds just like one of those. I have since discovered this band. I think it's from Scotland, if I'm not mistaken. Sounds like one of those like Australian sing-alongs. There was a band called out of Australia back in the day called Mental as Anything that had a lot of these kind of weird sing-along songs that I just didn't know what they were talking about because they were like Australian colloquialisms or idioms that were down there. This seems like one of those things. There's no lights on the Christmas tree, Mother. They're burning Big Louie tonight. But it is a fun, really cool song. And then the last song, St. Anthony, is just a straight up hard rocker that closes the album. Great, incredibly. Just a great, awesome debut. I love the energy. And again, in every single song, I want to say that like Alex Harvey's voice was just absolutely blowing me away. Absolutely fantastic. So yeah, my number one, their debut, Framed. So that's it, people. That's it. It's people. That's what I got. I've listened to these albums maybe 2 or 3 times. I've listened to SAHB and the debut a lot more times. We were out doing stuff this weekend, and I brought those 2 along. I had them on a device so I could play them, and so I've listened to those a couple more times and reaffirmed that I do really, really like those. But anyways, for all you people who recommended this band, thank you very much. They are now becoming a part of my musical world. I will return to all of these albums again. I have a couple more new bands I am lining up to listen to. And so that next video will probably come next week, maybe in 2 weeks. Give myself some time to maybe absorb those, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, thanks for watching. Again, anything you want to share with me information-wise about the Sensational Alex Harvey Band, put in the comments. If you're familiar, please let me know your thoughts on their albums, maybe albums I should reconsider, spend more time with, songs I should spend more time with, all that stuff. You know how comments work. But yeah, fantastic, fantastic band, people. Thank you for recommending them. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, share, and go listen to music, people. Go discover a band you've never heard before in your life right now. Go do it. Go do it. And if you never heard this one, go discover them. Peace, people. Take care. Talk to you later.